It seems like a lifetime ago, but also so recent.
As you know, we now have our first 3 presumptive cases of COVID-19 here in Nova Scotia.
5 years ago, after this announcement, it did not take long before restrictions were put in place. Gathering limits were capped, businesses such as gyms and salons were ordered to close, as well as bars. Restaurants were only allowed to offer takeout. People entering the province would have to self-isolate for 2 weeks. But in the early days, some Nova Scotians were not complying with the rules. Tough words from Stephen McNeil on April 3rd, 2020 changed everything.
When all we have to do is stay the blazes home.
McNeil says his chief of staff asked him that day if he would say the words, "Stay the blazes home."
I colorfully said, no, this is exactly how I would say it. She said, well, we can't say it that way. I said, yes, I would say something like that. That's exactly what, my mother might have said, get the blazes outdoors. We knew what the phrase was. It was something that Nova Scotians could relate to, but that's where it came from. It was a team effort, and they deserved the credit for it. I just mouthed the words.
It was the kind of blunt, plain messaging that people needed to hear, that this needed to be taken seriously. And sometimes you need that very plain, simple, crisp message that to make people sit up and take notice, and it worked.
Nova Scotia became a global leader for its early handling of the COVID-19 pandemic because of strict rules and buy-in from the public. But would Strang and McNeil do anything differently?
We didn't truly understand the significant long-term impacts on mental health, especially, and disrupting social isolation and social connection. So we'd have to think our way through that next time. Is there a way we could do things a little bit differently to minimize some of those impacts, even though we might have to use those same tools?
Strang says he probably would allow for more outdoor activity because the risk of transmission is much lower outside. He says details like this have been worked into the province's updated pandemic plan, if there's a next time. McNeil says he's thought about the amount of time long-term care homes were locked down.
But put that in the context of what happened at Northwood. Would I change my mind? I don't know. We knew that isolation was having an impact on our seniors. How could we best address that? Could we have done that differently? I've thought about that some.
Dr. Strang, this is our 96th briefing since we started this journey 11 months ago. I want to thank you for your support, your guidance, and most of all, your friendship as we found our way through this.
Before March 2020, McNeil says he'd only ever met with Strang once before. The two soon became joined at the hip at their daily press conferences. And even though he's left office, McNeil and Strang keep in touch. The two have become friends. Richard Woodbury, CBC News, Halifax.